Welcome to the channel, guys. So I built up this little MS291 with the Westcoast Saws gear on it. It's got the dogs, it's got the air cleaner, all the goodies on it. This little saw's been amazing. So what we're going to do today is I've got a MS461. We're going to build this thing up. So this saw is a replacement to a saw of mine that somebody took from me, and it fits nicely between the 084, let me get you up there, the 064, my old Husky 61. This is kind of a gap in between this little Stihl saw and the big boys. I don't really like lugging that 084 or 064 around if I don't need it, and 461 is a really nice saw. I debated getting a 500i, and I lucked out. I found this saw, and it's got a couple tanks through it. It's ported. It's a really nice machine. So we're going to tune this sucker up, and we're going to put some goodies on it today. So I live in Western Washington, and the trees we have out here have bark on them. I don't know if you can really tell, but that's the wood, that's the bark. So there's 2, 3, 4, 5 inches of bark on some of these trees. So we have some pretty legit trees out here. And some of these, what happens is they get old, they get big, and they die, and they got to come down. So I've got a few trees on the property. They're either wind shook, or they're starting to get rotted, or they've got rot coming up around them. They need to come down. So the reason for these big spikes on these chainsaws is that thick bark. So when you have these big spikes, they get into it. Now, this MS291, when it was new, had these little baby ones. Putting these on looks a little silly on a saw this size, but when you get into, I just use that on the smaller trees, but when you get in there and it pins into that good wood, and it doesn't pop out of the bark and move around on you, you're just locked in, you're solid, and it's also a safety thing. So if you don't understand those spikes, you maybe have different trees than we do. And so there's absolutely nothing wrong with this chainsaw, but these dogs are no match for the bark that I have on the trees here. So that's what's driving this project. And other than that, I mean, who doesn't want cool parts on their chainsaw? So Westcoast Saws, they make this bark box, they make these dogs, got a roller, and this is what's called a chainsaw kit. Bark box, felling dogs, felling hardware, the chain roller, and an extra couple horsepower and a sticker. The reason I bought this as a kit is because it's going to basically come with everything. I'm not going to be running to the hardware store in the middle of the job to get some stupid screw. And Maxflow, supposed to be the best filter on the market. I've had good luck with them. So we're going to put one of these on here, and that's just to keep most of the dust you get in your air cleaner is due to your chain being dull. But out here on the West Coast, you get a lot of dust out of the bark. You get a lot of dust out of rotten trees. So have both of those. So we're going to upgrade the air filter. All right, let's get after it. So this saw is kind of a mid-size when you have larger property and larger trees. This is a really good size for a felling saw. If you've got bigger stuff, I've got that 084, 064. I've got some big saws, but man, nobody likes carrying them around. I mean, when you need an 084, you will use an 084. When you don't need an 084, you're going to want something like this or smaller. That MS291 is kind of my farm saw. It rides around on the quad, goes in the Jeep, goes in the pickup. I use the heck out of that little saw, and I'll come out of there. I use the heck out of that little MS291, and great saw if you don't need a big saw. Why carry around a big saw? So we replaced this little guy with a foam filter, and in the process of doing this, doing the bark box, opening all the airflow up, we need to remove the limiters on the carburetor screws out of here. So I'll show you how to do that. Try and get a little access to our carburetor here. So one thing I should mention, anytime you're pulling your air cleaner off, click your into choke. That closes that little butterfly in there and prevents crap from going down your carburetor, especially if you're going to pull your filter out and blow your saw out. You definitely want that out of there. That guy slides out, and not sure. I think I can do this without pulling the carburetor out. Get this little rubber boot out of here. Okay, so we're just going to put a screw into that little limiter. And if you can see, that has a little tang on it. We're just going to grind that off of there, and then we're going to put it right back in there. Okay, so now this is round, and it'll allow us to back this thing out and get a richer mixture. You don't necessarily have to put these back in, but I have had guys tell me that they will back out from time to time. If you don't put them back in, so I'm just going to put it back in. And pull our screw out and do the other one. So just put your screw in there, let it bite in, and still does make a proper tool for doing this. Come on. I don't have one. I don't think they're even expensive, but still does make a proper tool for doing this. So this rubber boot is basically to guide your screwdriver going into here and help your screwdriver line up with that needle valve. So we're just going to put everything back. So this is a very low hour saw, and I've got a couple of tanks of fuel through it. So I'm going to make sure when I get this all back together, that ain't right. What are we doing here? Oh. How does that get in there? That just squashes. So this is a really low hour saw. I've literally got a couple of tanks of fuel through it. The guy I bought it from, real nice guy, he bought the saw for a project. The project fell through. It sat in his garage for years, and he said the only tank that he ran through it, he told me they had a tree down in the neighborhood and in a windstorm, and he gassed it up and went out and cut the tree up and mentioned that he had rocked the chain, and sure enough, looking it over, he had cut into the asphalt a little bit and rocked the chain, but it had. So like I was saying, this saw is almost brand new. It's got a couple of tanks through it, and so we're going to start out. When we fire this up, it'll be a little bit rich. That's just fine. It won't hurt anything. What we don't want to do is be lean and burn up this power head and cause ourselves headaches. So this saw, I'm not a professional faller or anything. This saw should last me a lot of years, and I don't need every shred of horsepower out of it, so it can run slightly rich and it won't hurt anything. But running it lean, that'll cause a whole lot more taking the chainsaw apart and buying parts, which I don't want. So there's comparison between those, and obviously that's going to get a lot better bite in this bark. So we're going to put that guy right back on here. Okay. I'm going to put this screw right back in here. Get in there.
Make it nice and tight.
Yeah.
So it doesn't fall off.
Yeah.
Don't want it to fall off and lose the screw.
No.
Then we'll have to find the same size and the same wood.
Okay, there's one on. Okay. I was smart, I'd done the bark box first. Hopefully we don't have to take these back off. And we'll take this mess apart.
Okay.
Okay, So he included a new roller kit. We're not going to need that, so we'll hang that on the shelf for later when that roller gets ate up.
I'm going to screw it in.
So the kit includes a brand new roller, pin, all that stuff. I'm going to reuse this one since it's essentially brand new. We'll just put it right on here.
What's this for, Daddy?
That's for the chain to roll on if it comes off.
Oh.
Get that good and tight.
And put it back on.
Yep. Okay, so that little bit of wiggle just kind of aligns, and now we're going to tighten these screws up. And if you notice when you're changing your bar on and off, if you're fighting this, you can loosen those up with the bar on here and get this all straight. But that pin has to go in that hole, and if you're not aligned right, it won't go. So that's why there's a little slop in these holes, and that's intentional. Okay.
What are we taking off now?
Taking the muffler off.
Taking the muffler off. What's that?
That's what makes it not so loud.
Oh.
There it is. Try and not tear the gasket. There we go. Gasket was stuck on there just a little bit. Okay, let's get our bark box out here. And so this does have a screen, so it's still all legal. Now, I'm doing this on my own property, so I could remove that, but I don't want a forest fire on my property either, so we're going to put that in there. Now, to put this in, you got to hammer this little piece over one way or the other. There's, I don't know, lots of videos on it. I'm just going to bend him a little bit. If I was out for absolute peak crazy horsepower, I would do a little bit of porting on the inside of this muffler, but I really don't feel it necessary for what I'm doing with this saw. We're just going to get that to fit. And that goes right on there now. Put some screws back. I'm not running any Loctite on these. I guess you could. I don't see it necessary on this. Loctite, as hot as this exhaust gets, the Loctite is going to fail before, just due to temperature. Most Loctite, if you heat it up to 250 degrees, is going to cause it to release. So I don't see a point putting Loctite on these. Something to keep an eye on once in a while. Okay, get them all snug down and then go around them once, tighten them up. And that's bark box. All right, we got the bell ray. That is good air filter oil. Don't use aerosol. It I didn't have this in my last video, so I just put some K&N oil on it or something I had on hand. Don't do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this filter into this Ziploc bag. They say about 1/2 ounce of oil, and this stuff is crazy sticky. Gets everywhere, but if you can keep it inside of a Ziploc bag, and you can just sit here and squish this thing around until it's evenly coated, wring it out in the bag as best you can, then you know you shouldn't have too much oil. And just keep working it around. Takes a few minutes, and then if you do it right, you can actually leave the filter in the bag and put it on there and not get your hands covered in this sticky oil. So we're going to take this little strip off of there. That is known to interfere with the choke linkage, on-off linkage on some of them. I don't know if it's necessary, but I'm going to take it out of there. There, all gone. Let's see file here. Just clean that up a little bit with a file. Okay, you got that all squished?
Yep.
Okay.
It's blue now.
It's blue now. Yep. And the kit comes with 2 filters. I'm going to run the blue one. I think the white one's a little bit finer, and this one flows a little bit better. So this basket goes inside the filter. We can get him in there
Without touching it.
without touching it. That's right. Yeah, we're gonna have to get some all over us sometimes. Just how it goes. Okay, so okay, we'll put our cover on, and there we go.
Okay.
Now it's a little bit tight right here to get to the screws. I don't think I need to cut a relief in that. If it annoys me later on, I will do that. Let's go run this thing.
Yeah.
Put a bar on it.
Yep.
Okay.
The ball's right behind you.
All right. It's always when you got a camera going that you probably can't tie your shoes. Save your life. Okay, that seems to go right on. And put some bar nuts on it. It's the advantage of trying to do everything backwards so that you guys can see what I'm doing, and instead of doing it how I would normally do it. But we'll get through it. Get this bar on. I gotta see, I just used about the last of the fuel I had, so I might actually have to mix up some fuel here. But we'll get there. I like to just hold it up on the tip. It's the bar about right. It's a little tight, but we'll fire it up and run it and see what that does.
Okay.
So it's a little boxy. Some guys don't like the way this looks. This is a little bit more aerodynamic, but I can't run that fast, so it won't matter. It's not a perfect color match, but it's orange. As soon as this thing gets a little dirt on it, it'll look the same. So, and there is nowhere to put that big old sticker, and this is a lot of horsepower we're leaving on the table if we don't use the sticker. Yeah,
Yep.
that's not going to happen. Put it on the toolbox or something, I guess. Okay.
Yep.
Hey, we didn't spill any bar oil. We're off to a flying start here. But pretty much here. I don't think we're gonna quite get a tank. I hate using the last little bit of fuel in a can also, but we'll have to mix some more up. We're gonna get a tank out of it. No, maybe a quarter of a tank. Alright, let's see what we got here. Tune on that a little bit. We'll get there.
Let's jump around, Daddy.
Okay, me and the boys are down here in the woods. So I have turned down the idle just slightly because it was constantly running the chain. So that's this guy here. And I haven't touched the jets from where I set them. It's a little bit rich right now. I want this saw to run a little bit rich. It's still breaking in, and I'll slowly lean that in as I go, and we'll see what we get. Right now we're looking for a little bit of that 4-stroke noise, and it's kind of a little bit of a rumble noise, and we don't want it to actually just totally scream unless we're in the wood. I like it. We can lean that in and make it a little bit zippier, but she's running plenty rich. You can hear that 4-stroke if I'm not in it hard. Really happy with that. Those dogs, obviously I'm not into any bark, but those dogs dive in there and hold that power head from shimmying and doing that just shimmy and shake and not cut right. So real happy with that. All right, guys, hope you liked the video. That's another saw upgraded with some Westcoast Saws stuff. Gordy, you make really nice stuff. Very happy with it. I think he's more interested in making a quality product than making money, even, because the quality that goes into this Westcoast Saws stuff is just spot on. It's top of the line, made in the US. So I don't make anything off of, you know, saying that. I buy this stuff with my own money, but it's the best I've seen and real happy with it. So there you go. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you liked the video. See you on the next one.